Hello and welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. Bhikkhu Ramji Idete Commission was set up by the Government of India to review the governance of the Board of Banks in India, suggest appropriate measures in respect of denotified and nomadic tribes that may be undertaken by the central government or the state government, review various acts administered by the Ministry of Environment, consider reforms to the country's existing criminal laws. The answer to this is suggest appropriate measures in respect of denotified and nomadic tribes that may be undertaken by the central government or the state government. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a reference to Bhikkhu Ramji Idete Commission. Let us try and understand what is this article all about. During the British era, you had some of the tribes which were given a tag of criminal tribes. These were notified as criminal tribes, but after the independence during 1952, the government of India denotified them, which means those which were accorded this particular tag as criminal tribes were denotified. They were no more called as the criminal tribes, which is why they are called as the denotified tribes, which means those notified as the criminal tribes were denotified, removed from that particular list by the government of India in the year 1952. Then we have to understand what is called as the nomadic and the semi-nomadic tribes. Basically, this is about the degree of mobility of that particular tribe. If that particular tribe moves from one region to another looking for the livelihood opportunities, more the gravity, that will be called as the nomadic tribes, and less the gravity of moving from one place to another, such tribes were called as the semi-nomadic. So basically, the nomadic and the semi-nomadic depends on the physical movement of these tribes from one place to another, and depends on the magnitude and gravity, how much they travel, so on and so forth. So this article goes on to say that we have the Ministry of Justice and Empowerment, which has come up with this particular initiative called as the Scheme for the Economic Development of Denotified, Nomadic and Semi-Nomadic Tribes. So this will be the scheme taken by the Government of India to ensure that all these schemes are accorded to these denotified tribes. Back in the year 2014, we had the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, which had constituted what is called as the National Commission for the Denotified Nomadic and Semi-Nomadic Tribes for a period of 3 years. This particular commission looked into the various aspects of the denotified tribe and ultimately asked for the establishment of a welfare board. This welfare board had also made recommendations. Taking these recommendations and multiple viewpoints with respect to the denotified tribes, this scheme has been initiated. So basically, coaching would be provided to the children of these denotified tribes. They would be provided with health insurance, livelihood initiatives at the community level, and financial assistance for the construction of the house through this particular scheme for economic empowerment of DNTs. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements with respect to East Asia Summit. The concept of an East Asia grouping was first promoted in 1991 by the then Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir bin Mohamad. The first East Asia Summit was held in Tokyo, Japan. India is a founding member of the East Asia Summit. Which of the above statements are incorrect? Since it is asking for the incorrect statement, the answer to this is 2 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a reference to the East Asia Summit. Let us try and understand what are these options. When we look into the first option is right. The East Asia Summit as a concept was first promoted in 1991 by the then Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir bin Mohamad. When we look into the second statement, the first East Asia Summit was not held in Tokyo, Japan, but instead it was in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. The third statement is right, so the answer to this would be 2 only, because it is asking for the incorrect statement. So what is this East Asia Summit? Basically, this happens to be a forum where all the members of the Indo-Pacific region come together and they discuss about the political, security and economic related challenges when it comes to the Indo-Pacific region. So they come together advance the cooperation movement, and ultimately find out what are the solutions for the problems that are persisting in the Indo-Pacific region. Which are the countries which are part of it? It has about 18 members, the 10 Asian countries, which includes Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam, which are part of Asian countries. Along with it, we also have Australia, China, India, Japan, New Zealand, Republic of Korea, Russia, and the United States of America. They have about 6 areas for the cooperation, which includes environment and energy, education, finance, global health issues and pandemic diseases, natural disaster management, and Asian connectivity. These are the areas where they primarily focus on, ultimately find out what the problems are in this particular region and come up with a solution. Thereby, they have an integrated approach to solving the problems persisting in this region. Now, let's look into the next practice question. With respect to the Energy and the Resources Institute, which of the following statements are correct? It is a not-for-profit policy research organization which is headquartered in New Delhi. The World Sustainable Development Summit is the annual event of TERI. Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment was conceived by TERI and developed jointly with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 1 and 2 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a reference to TERI. Let us try and understand what are these options. When we look into the first option, it is a not-for-profit policy research organization which is headquartered in New Delhi. This is a right statement. So basically, this is one of the policy research organizations. What does it do? It engages in multiple activities. Initially, it was focusing more on energy, which is why when it was established in 1974, it was called as Tata Energy Research Institute. But then eventually over a period of time, in the year 2003, its name was also changed to what is called as the Energy Resources Institute. Why? Because initially it was focusing on the efficiency of energy, but over a period of time it took up multiple other activities as well. It started focusing on environment, it started focusing on climate change, it started focusing on sustainable space, and engaged in multiple activities like enhancing access to the clean energy, helping a global transition to renewable energy pathways, enhance energy efficiency, especially in industries, public utilities and buildings, facilitating more efficient use of materials, especially iron and cement, enhancing conservation, utilization of and access to water, including the watershed management. So in the year 2003, it became what is called as the Energy and Research Institute, and earlier it was called as the Tata Energy Research Institute. The second statement, the World Sustainable Development Summit is the annual event of the TERI. Yes, this statement is also right. When we look into this particular article, it goes on to say that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver the inaugural address at TERI's World Sustainable Developmental Summit. This happens to be one of the summit where it brings multiple people on this platform, where you will have the world leaders, thinkers, scientists, industry experts, government representatives, all coming on a common platform whereby they will try and find out the solutions to understand what are the problems that are persisting for the earth, and ultimately they will try and discover the solutions to these existing problems that has been haunting the global community. So the second statement is also right. When we look into the third statement, green rating for integrated habitat assessment was conceived by TERI. This is a current statement, but it was developed jointly not with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Instead, it was with the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, which is why the third statement is wrong. Then there are other initiatives taken by TERI, which happens to be lighting a billion lives. Then we also have Green Olympiad, and finally we have the green rating for the integrated habitat assessment. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements about Guru Ravidas are correct? He was an Indian mystic poet saint of the Bhakti movement. His poems were included in the Guru Granth Sahib, which is the sacred scripture of Sikhism. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is both. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a reference to Guru Ravidas. Guru Ravidas' birth anniversary is celebrated every year on February 16th. He is considered one of the major leaders and the Guru when it comes to the Bhakti movement, and he fought against the so-called caste system that is persisting in the Indian society. And do remember, from the preliminary examination point of view, it is important to understand that his poems were also included in the Guru Granth Sahib, which happens to be the sacred scripture of the Sikhism. Guru Ravidas was the disciple of poet Ramananda. He is considered as the contemporary of Kabir, and he was also the spiritual guide to Mirabai. As part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section some of the important facts about Mirabai. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements in respect of Bharat Ratna and Padma Awards. Bharat Ratna and Padma Awards are titles under Article 18 of 1 of the Constitution of India. Padma Awards, which were instituted in the year 1954, were suspended only once. The number of Bharat Ratna Awards is restricted to a maximum of 5 in a particular year. Which of the above statements are not correct? The answer to this is 1, 2 and 3. All the three statements that are given here are wrong, and this happens to be a previous year question from the year 2021. When we look into the first option, it says Bharat Ratna and Padma Awards are titles under Article 18 of 1. This is a wrong statement. Why? Because the national awards like Bharat Ratna, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan are not considered as titles under Article 18 of 1. When we look into the second option, Padma Awards were instituted in the year 1954, were suspended only once. No, they were suspended more than once in 1977 and also in the year 1992 as well. And when it comes to the third option, the number of Bharat Ratna Awards is restricted to a maximum of 5 in a particular year. This is also wrong. It is to a maximum of 3 people and not 5. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is India-Australia Energy Dialogue. What is the context? We had the 4th India-Australia Energy Dialogue recently. From the Indian side, we had the Minister for Power and New and Renewable Energy representing India, and from the Australian side, you had the Minister for Energy and Emissions Reduction representing the Australian side. What is this energy dialogue all about? Basically, this happens to be a forum where they discuss about how energy and resources can be used efficiently. So this is a dialogue which is held annually between India and Australia. Where is it held? It can be held in India, it can be held in Australia, or if the ministers of both the countries are meeting in a common place because of some other summit or a conference, they can also engage a talk in that particular country as well. So this is a dialogue which is held annually, alternating between India and Australia, and may also take place along some of the international events. There are about 5 working groups when it comes to this energy dialogue. What are those? 1. What we have is the power. Second is the new and renewable energy. Third is coal and mines. Fourth is critical minerals. And finally, what we have is the oil and gas, which are the 5 working groups in this particular energy dialogue. In the present situation, after the 4th India-Australia Energy Dialogue took place, both the countries have signed what is called as the Letter of Intent. According to this Letter of Intent, they basically want to work towards reducing the price of new and renewable energy, and also want to ensure that such deployment happens across the global community so that they can accelerate the global emission reduction as well. So the focus of this Letter of Intent is basically to manufacture and deploy all those equipments and products which will mitigate the impact of climate change. Added to this, both the countries are also exploring other areas as well. Let's say, for example, energy efficiency technologies, grid management, R&D collaboration on flue gas desulfurization, biomass or hydrogen co-firing, water cycle optimization, renewables integration, batteries and electric mobility. As of now, the intent is to reduce the product cost of the new and renewable energy sector and in the near future, they would be concentrating on all these other sectors as well. Apart from the power sector, they are also planning to reduce the cost of the green hydrogen, cooperation in the sphere of coal-based energy, investment opportunities in the mineral sector, exploring potential for the LNG partnership. So these will be areas that they would be planning to explore in the near future. It is this that we have to understand in reference to India-Australia energy dialogue. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.